watching the biggest exclusive with me, Ridhima Bhatnagar. The big update coming in from the national capital, from the EOW, which is the Economic Offences Wing, are these visuals that you're seeing behind me that we've accessed exclusively here on CNN News 18. These are visuals of actress Nora who was being questioned at the EOW. We are now understanding in the car that you see behind me, she has just left the EOW's office, the Economic Offences Wing. Yesterday, you had Jacqueline Fernandez, who was questioned for over 8 hours. Today, you had Nora also being questioned, who has just now left the Economic Offences Wing's office. My colleague Yash, who's been tracking all these developments for us, now joining us on the broadcast. Yash, so how many hours was Nora questioned?
Well, Ridhima, Nora approximately reached the EOW office at around 1, and it's now approximately 6:30. So the questioning went for good 5.5 hours, and she was actually accompanied with the lawyer. And what we are also understanding is that this entire line of questioning was actually on the similar lines like what happened yesterday with Jacqueline Fernandez. Pinky Irani was also there. They were actually both confronted. But it would be very interesting to understand what details later would emerge, like what happened in that particular conversation when Pinky Irani and Nora sat in front of each other. Because yesterday what we're given to understand is that they had a heated argument when both were confronted. This questioning went on for good 5.5 hours, though the questioning started a little later. It was slated to happen at around 11 first, but due to delayed flight, the questioning, she reached the EOW office at around 1, and then the questioning began. Ridhima.
Yash, I'll just request you to stay on with us. Let me bring in our colleague Akash, who's been tracking all these developments for us as well. So Akash, we just saw those visuals of Nora leaving the EOW's office. Do we have any details on what was the line of questioning?
So, Ridhima, we are, waiting for that line of questioning. In fact, the development, the exact questions in some time from now, we'll be getting those details. But as of now, we are showing these exclusive visuals to our viewers. And, as Yash mentioned, it was quite a good 5.5 hours, the whole time, the overall time when the actress was inside this particular EOW office, which is in Central Delhi at Mandir Marg, and, she was quizzed. And this case is about the extortion, the 200 crore extortion by Sukesh Chandrasekhar. And, yesterday we saw that how first Jacqueline Fernandez was questioned, and today Nora So, in fact, initially the time was 10 to 11, and we were expecting that by around 11 she'll be coming, but her flight got delayed, as Yash pointed out. And, by 1 p.m., exact at 1 p.m., she reached this particular venue. At that time, in fact, we showed you that how, she was wearing black, and she went inside without talking to media. She went straight inside the particular building. And in fact, just a few minutes back, we tried to speak to her, but, she did not respond, and she left the particular place at around 6:28, which is the exact time. For around 5.5 hours, she was inside this particular building, and in some time from now, we are expecting that we'll be getting as to what kind of questions were asked and what were her exact replies. Because yesterday talking
because that will be very crucial to know whether the agencies are even convinced with the answers that have in fact been given by the actress. Akash and Yash, thanks a lot for getting us all those details. So the actresses claiming their innocence, agencies saying this is a classic case of quid pro quo. Where does the truth really lie? So as I said, where does the truth really lie? Before we try and get some answer to that question, let's first talk to you about what is this web of deceit and fraud, and more importantly, who are the key players. Bear with me for a couple of minutes. Let's break down those details. These are the key players. Sukesh Chandrasekhar, this is the key con man. Who all did he con? There was Nora Fatehi, there was Jacqueline Fernandez, then his close aide Pinky Irani, other actresses that have been named so far, Sara Ali Khan, Janhvi Kapoor, Bhumi Pednekar, but was not just restricted to Bollywood, there were others who came under his scanner as well. So what were his tools? How did he manage to run this web of deceit and fraud? Sukesh Chandrasekhar and Pinky Irani, what was the relationship between both these people? Chandrasekhar's close aide and friend, she was a personal shopper, introduced Chandrasekhar to Jacqueline Fernandez. Remember, Sukesh Chandrasekhar was doing all of this while he was still sitting. He was imprisoned at the Tihar jail. He used a lot of spoofing technology. There were a lot of tools at his behest. He used mobile phones, laptops, spoofing technologies to impersonate a lot of people. But this is where it gets interesting. How did he get in touch with Jacqueline Fernandez and what was the conversation like? Involvement with confidence surfaced after the pictures went viral. Remember, as of now, the legal team of Jacqueline Fernandez has maintained that they didn't even know the real identity of Sukesh Chandrasekhar. They thought he was someone else. So they didn't know anything about being a recipient of proceeds of crime. Named accused in the 215 crore scam. Earlier, remember, she was just a witness. The legal team still stands by their version saying, we had no idea. The legal team of Jacqueline Fernandez, in fact, is saying that there was a time when we actually returned and said no to those gifts. Then let's talk about Nora Fatehi. Remember, she was also questioned at the EOW today. We just saw her leaving that office a short while ago. Allegedly received luxury cars as gifts. This was actually similar with both Jacqueline and Nora Fatehi. Jacqueline Fernandez also received luxury bags, luxury cars. There was a horse. There was a Persian cat as well. For Nora Fatehi, we're understanding she was in fact given a choice to choose from the various luxury cars that was offered by conman Sukesh Chandrasekhar. She was questioned by the ED as well. There are other actresses also possibly under the scanner like Sara Ali Khan, Janhvi Kapoor, Bhumi Pednekar and maybe others. Allegedly, they all received gifts in whether it was cash or other gifts. 20 crore allegedly spent on actresses, models since 2015. But as I said, the con was not just restricted to Bollywood. There were others as well. Shivendra Singh and even politicians like TTV Dinakaran among Sukesh's many victims. But the larger question then is, was Sukesh Chandrasekhar actually that good as a conman that nobody actually had any doubt, or were all these people even accomplices as far as this con is concerned? Let's first break down the details as far as Jacqueline Fernandez is concerned. As I pointed out, there are two versions as of now. One is, of course, by the actor and her legal team, where they've been claiming that they're completely innocent and it's been unfair as far as this trial is concerned. And the agencies are saying there is enough evidence to say that she wasn't accused as far as this case is concerned. So let's break down these details. As far as Jacqueline Fernandez is concerned, the ED charge sheet says Jacqueline knew Sukesh Chandrasekhar was an extortionist and she continued to receive those gifts. The reply given to the EOW, the Economic Offences Wing, by Jacqueline Fernandez has been, I didn't know he was in jail, never visited him in Tihar, I didn't even know his real identity. The ED charge sheet also says, named accused in the extortion case. So from one witness, Jacqueline Fernandez was moved as an accused. Jacqueline Fernandez's reply has been, didn't suspect, so didn't really Google him. But was she actually that naive? That's the larger question. The ED charge sheet also says that the actress received gifts worth rupees 5 crore, as I pointed to you, luxury cars, bags, horses, and even Persian cats. The reply to the EOW has been, there are WhatsApp chats where I actually say no to those gifts, and this is the evidence that is being used by the legal team. The ED charge sheet, as I pointed out, multiple gifts that have been received by the actress. All of this has been refuted by the actress and the legal team saying, I earn 7 crore per film. I am not a gold digger. I actually didn't even know the real identity. So how am I a recipient of proceeds of crime? The ED charge sheet also says, aware gifts were bought from crime proceeds. A reply has been, Pinky swore on her kids that he was clean. Pinky Irani, the close aide that we spoke to you a short while ago, this was all a nexus. The conman Sukesh Chandrasekhar, who was in Tihar jail, his close aide Pinky Irani, who then introduced Jacqueline Fernandez to Sukesh Chandrasekhar. Where does the truth lie as far as Jacqueline Fernandez is concerned? I have with me the legal team, the advocate of Jacqueline Fernandez, Prashant Patel, who in fact is now joining us here on CNN News 18. Prashant, we appreciate you taking our time and joining us here. Let's actually begin with the basics. How did your client, Jacqueline Fernandez, know Sukesh Chandrasekhar?
There's this person by the name of Mr. Sukesh. He has used a modular phone technology wherein he used to use this phone technology to make spoof calls to his victims. And that we know, Delhi police has also revealed that, registered an FIR because one lady who owns a pharmaceutical industry, she was conned in a similar manner for an amount of rupees 200 crores by Sukesh. So allegedly the Delhi police has registered an FIR and also filed a charge sheet under MCOC. In a similar fashion, Sukesh first approached the stylist of my client, Jacqueline, through a spoof call. So when this Mr. Stylist gets a phone call, the true caller ID is reflected that he's getting a call from a Union Home Ministry. So allegedly a senior bureaucrat from Union Home Ministry was talking to the stylist of my client, wherein the senior bureaucrat introduced Mr. Sukesh as Shankar Vela. It's an impersonated identity, obviously a fictitious identity. And he hails allegedly from Tamil Nadu, a nephew of a leading political leader of Tamil Nadu, owner of Sun TV, allegedly. This was the impersonation done. And this particular Mr. Shankar Vela, he wants to get in touch with Jacqueline for some professional work. That was how the introduction started. So this is the fundamental facts which even the investigating agencies have.
But Prashant, didn't your client at any stage want to do any sort of a background check?
Now listen to this. This man has been introduced as Shankar Vela. Again, this, if you do any background check on Shankar Vela, you'll not find anything. Incidentally, as a common victim, it's not only my client, but there are many other celebrities who have been victimized in similar fashion. Even the main complainant who has lost almost 200 crores to Sukesh, she has been conned in a similar fashion. Nobody does a background check when you get a call, allegedly, from a Union Home Ministry's number, from a true caller ID. Okay? And when senior bureaucrats are talking to you, getting introduced to you, revealing certain details, a common man's thinking is usually they believe what they're hearing. They believe the call that they're receiving. When you call back that number, the true caller ID will show that it has been done through some ministry. So these kind of spoof call technologies, many people are victim. Now, understand my facts. Though agencies cannot go hot and cold at one time. At one side, if they believe that this complainant, I will not name her, a leading business entrepreneur at Delhi, a lady, she was conned by Sukesh using the same modus operandi. Used to use the same technology, which allegedly she thought she's talking to a senior bureaucrat. And she lost 200 crores.
Okay, so you're saying spoofing technology was used. Your client, Jacqueline Fernandez, didn't even know the real identity of Sukesh Chandrasekhar. At this point, I also want to understand, how did she know Pinky Irani? Because they were put face to face yesterday at the EOW. How did they get to know each other?
So then again, it's something like this. If you go by the Enforcement Directorate's charge sheet, it was not that Pinky Irani and Jacqueline were friends. It was not that Pinky Irani and Jacqueline knew each other. I don't want to reveal much more details beyond this because my matter is listed on 26th. I don't want to argue on the evidence part of it. But to give you a bird's eye view, this Mrs. Irani, she approached the stylist and she approached Jacqueline on behalf of Sukesh. That is the ED's investigation I'm talking about. I'm not making any statement within my knowledge. It is the factual charge sheet filed by ED, which extract of which I'm sharing with you. So she approached Jacqueline saying that this guy is a genuine fellow. I know him for the last 13 years. He happens to be a leading business entrepreneur and he wants to do a movie with you. So there are certain extracts of WhatsApp communications between Jacqueline and Irani. This is how it has come out. So more than this, I will not be able to reveal. It's a part of evidence. But maybe post our argument on 26th, I will be able to reveal this.
Sure, we'll reconnect post the 26th. But Prashant, I now want to talk to you specifically about the gifts that were given by Sukesh Chandrasekhar to Jacqueline. As I said, there's a hefty price tag on it. Luxury cars, bags, a horse, a Persian cat. At no point was there any red flag that was raised in Jacqueline's head. And more importantly, why did Jacqueline accept such luxurious gifts when she knew Sukesh Chandrasekhar was in jail?
First and foremost, she did not know him as Sukesh. She knew him as somebody else, as an impersonated fictitious identity. Secondly, there is not a single piece of evidence, and I repeat, not a single piece of evidence with either of the agencies, or in public domain or in private domain, documentary evidence, oral evidence in form of statement, in a form of WhatsApp message, which will reflect that Jacqueline ever demanded such gifts. But there is evidence on record, which we will show it to the Honorable Court, that Jacqueline has denied these gifts. This is not what I'm saying right now. It's during the conversation, certain mobiles were seized of some other people, I will not name them. During that retrieval of some messages, WhatsApp messages of that mobile phones, it is reflected that Jacqueline has been saying that I do not know him, why should I accept these gifts? She's totally denying it. Then what exactly transpired post that is a matter of evidence, which we will argue. But I repeat, there is not an evidence to show that Jacqueline demanded any gifts. But there is evidence to show that she totally denied these gifts.
So what was then the nature of the relationship of Jacqueline Fernandez and Sukesh Chandrasekhar?
According to the instructions of my client, Jacqueline was just started to know him. She was in an interim period of just knowing him. Obviously, Sukesh was trying his level best to woo her by going all out of his way, like impersonating himself, telling that he, projecting himself as a leading business entrepreneur. But Jacqueline was just she has started to know him. There was no relationship between them.
I also want to go back quickly to a comment that you've made in the past where you've said that your client, Jacqueline Fernandez, has been treated unfairly vis-a-vis the other actors. Why do you say so?
See, if we believe that Jacqueline should have, Googled him or counter-checked his identity and she shouldn't have fallen prey to his tactics, and that's why she's been made an accused, which is not the law. If you go by the strict interpretation of Prevention of Money Laundering Act, it's an act made with an intention to counter-check money laundering. It has nothing to do with gifts. But if we can allege a particular person, especially a lady in this case, like Jacqueline, who's really struggled her way out of her hard work to make it so big, each and every penny that is there in her account is a tax-paid money, or hard-earned money. And if somebody can identify that money as proceeds of crime and make her an accused, within the same tactics of modus operandi, other celebrities have been made as a witness. So this is just a legal submission. There's nothing personal against anybody. I feel that this is not a fair investigation. If you ask me, as a lawyer practicing on PMLA matters, she's definitely not an accused.
So you're saying she's not an accused, she's been treated unfairly. But Prashant, very honestly, there has been a fair share of criticism against your client, Jacqueline Fernandez, as well, for skipping summons in the past. If there's nothing to hide, why skip those summons?
Whatever I'm speaking right now is on document.
Okay.
She has never skipped any summons. Let me go in the chronology. First summons that was served upon her by the Delhi police. She immediately replied to the summons in a written communication, requesting the police just to give her an adjournment of few days, and committed in that letter, I'm duty bound to attend your police station with all the concerned documents. I'm ready to give my statement. Just accommodate me for a couple of days. That was because she stays at Bombay. You have to appreciate she has to fly down to Delhi, cancelling her professional commitment. So 2 to 3 days here and there is fine. There was no intention to skip it. Second summons, when she was served, she was asked to come on 12th September. She has a written communication and an email to the Delhi police requesting the cops to prepone the date from 12th to 9th, not postpone it. She made a humble request saying if she can be accommodated on 9th instead of 12th, it will be easy for her because of her prior professional commitments. That was it. But yes, her request was then put to 14th. So this was all written communication. There is no intention to skip summons. And I again make my statement.
Okay.
Since the time this enforcement director's investigation is against her, she has not skipped a single summons of enforcement director at Delhi. She has deposed all statements, given all the documents required, and so is the case with Delhi police.
Okay.
We have been very fairly treated. Whenever they will call us, we'll definitely go before the Delhi police, depose our statements, because there is nothing to hide.
Okay. Prashant, we appreciate you joining us here on CNN News 18. So there you heard from the lawyer of Jacqueline Fernandez saying they'll want to cooperate with the investigation and they'll produce themselves whenever they're called. next. Before I bring in my other guests who've been patiently waiting, I just quickly want to talk to you about what is the case as far as Nora Fatehi is concerned. The allegation against the actress Nora Fatehi is that this is possibly a case of quid pro quo. And why are we saying that? Because Nora Fatehi attends a charity event for conman Sukesh Chandrasekhar. We're picking up all this by the means of sources within the Enforcement Directorate. There was a Cancer Foundation event that was organized by Sukesh's aide that was again attended by this actress. Event organized by a salon owned by Lina Maria Paul, who's of course the wife of Sukesh Chandrasekhar. So what was the actual relationship between Sukesh Chandrasekhar and Nora Fatehi? That's something the investigation agencies are also currently looking into. But let me quickly bring in my other guests who've been patiently waiting as well. We have Satyendra Singh, former Deputy Director of the Enforcement Directorate, actor Paras Tomar. We also have lawyer Swapnil Kothari. Good to have all of you on the broadcast with us, and thank you for patiently waiting. Paras, let me come to you first. The question that is being raised by everyone is, were the actresses really that naive that they didn't know what was happening?
The funny thing is this whole thing looks like a real-life version of Inventing Anna. If you see that Netflix show, it's really just, there is a con woman who works her way through the social. Now, when you look at what's really happened here with Nora and say with Jacqueline, the moment you meet one person with 5 influential people and 10 influential people, that circle just keeps growing. That's actually true. And when I'm hearing the lawyer side of it, and when they talk about the fact that, listen, how did anyone not do a background check? The fact is, very often, even as actors, when we get a call from a producer, producers, unlike Dharma, are not very well known. Most producers are not people who have a very big imprint. A lot of producers could be first-time financiers where they may not have really a very big social media or digital print. So it's actually very common because the moment you meet someone who seems to have money, they have a team of people who are talking to you, if they're giving you lots of gifts, it's very unlikely that anyone will really double-check who this is, where they've come from. So when in the acting circles, when we're talking about this, a lot of actors and actresses are also given bonuses, given gifts when a film does really well, or sometimes just as a signing amount, besides just your number, which is the actual check that comes out for a tax break gift. So actually what happens is, from a perspective of the actors, it's not about ignorance. The business really doesn't work in such a way that the actors need to know everyone who's coming in contact with them. So this whole, I know when you sort of...
But was this just a business transaction? Because it didn't look like that. The allegation, and this is the version of Sukesh Chandrasekhar, has been that we were in a relationship. So then you knew where this was coming from. That's the question that's being raised.
I'm unfortunate enough, I don't have a sugar mama. But the fact is, the grey area that was here was also the fact that this was not necessarily a producer transaction. This was like I use the term loosely, but this was kind of a sugar daddy in that sense, where this person claimed to have given extensive gifts to Jacqueline and her mom, and there were these felines that were sort of given up, right? So what also happens is, I think actresses have had lots of admirers coming in, they give you lots of lavish gifts. Now, on a moral compass, whether or not an actress accepts is a whole different matter, right? But very often, honestly, you may not really know where the money is coming from. Even as an entrepreneur myself, when I talk about the fact that I have so much money in my businesses are worth so many 100 crores, people take it at face value. Nobody really goes back and does a background check. And this is just someone like me who still has a social media imprint. So I actually personally don't really hold the actresses that responsible for being what really has happened, because that information very often is not always passed down to what is the source of the money.
Okay. Swapnil, I want to bring you in for something that the lawyer of Jacqueline Fernandez said to me a short while ago. He said that the only grievance that we have is that we feel our client is being treated unfairly vis-a-vis the other actresses, where others are still being seen as a witness. My client is now being named as an accused, and he feels there's not enough evidence to prove that.
Well, any lawyer who's defending the client will definitely say that.
No, but do you feel that there is a discrepancy in how the other actresses are being treated? And do you think Jacqueline can be an accused in a case like this?
Well, I'm sure Jacqueline can be an accused, and that's the reason why the Enforcement Directorate is investigating her and drilling her for that matter. You have, 5 watches, 20 pieces of jewelry, 65 pairs of shoes, 40 bags, I don't know how many other 4 Hermes bags, etc., and all of those things. Those are very, very lavish gifts. And if you have not done your background check and just accepted them because I do not know that what your source of money is, then I think you are absolutely fooling up the Enforcement Directorate, or you are a big fool yourself. So I don't think that is the case. And I'm sure the Enforcement Directorate will be able to investigate more. She has to prove now, because in money laundering cases, in drugs, etc., the onus of the burden of proof lies upon the accused as much as it lies on the prosecution. It's not just like rape, kidnapping, where you can just keep your mouth shut and the prosecution has to prove beyond reasonable doubt. It's here that you have to show that your money is not tainted. Just as, I have to tell the income tax that I have not evaded the tax and I have paid all my taxes. It's not for them to prove that I have evaded my taxes. The burden of proof is equally on me because these are all fiscal offences. Now, as far as to say that the other actresses haven't been called, she may have a legitimate grievance there. What she's trying to possibly say is that other actresses have also gained this kind of gifts from this particular man. And why is it that they haven't been called? But, that argument seldom works in a court of law. It's like saying that, look, I've committed only 2 murders. What about that guy who's walking on the street? He's committed 10. So arrest him first. It's like that Diva dialogue, जाओ पहले उस आदमी का sign देके आओ. जिसके पर हाँ, so वो सब नहीं चलता है कानून में, वो picture में चलता है. So, it's a picture में भी नहीं चला था उसमें, and, very legitimately so. But, this, Ridhima, let me tell you something. There's more to it than meets the eye. I do not believe this for a second. I do not blame the lawyer at all. I mean, he's doing his job. He's being a thorough professional there. He's being a thorough professional there, and rightfully so. But, it's going to be hard for him, or for that matter, anybody who takes up Jacqueline or Nora's case, to show that, this relationship was, okay, I attend a charity event, I do something, and then in return, instead of money, because, a charitable event may not want to give money to the people, I'm getting gifts. Yes.
So you're saying it's actually going to be very difficult to prove that this was actually not a case of quid pro quo. But let me bring in Satyendra Singh as well.
Because,
Satyendra ji,
kis tarah ka 3 gifts. Yeah. 3 gifts, not 30 gifts.
Yeah. No, true. I agree with that point that you're making, Swapnil. सत्येंद्र जी, मैं ये समझना चाहती हूँ, ईडी के पास किस तरह का एविडेंस होना चाहिए जब आप एक विटनेस को एक्यूज बनाते हैं तो?
जी, रिधिमा, विटनेस को एक्यूज नहीं बनाया जाता. एक्चुअली जो इन्वेस्टिगेशन होता है, हम ये मान के चलते हैं यदि ECIR में वो एक्यूज नहीं है, और जब इन्वेस्टिगेशन प्रोसीड करता है हम सबको विटनेस मानते हैं. लेकिन जो इन्वेस्टिगेशन आगे बढ़ता है और यदि किसी के खिलाफ एविडेंस मिलते हैं कि नहीं, ये जो मेन एक्यूज है उससे मिला हुआ है, या उसको क्राइम की जानकारी थी कि क्राइम से ही पैसा जनरेट हुआ है, तो उसको एक्यूज बनाया जाता है. जैसा कि जैकलिन केस में हुआ है कि पहले सबको लग रहा था कि वो विटनेस है, लेकिन वो एक्यूज बना दी गई. अब जहां तक नोरा फतेह अली या अन्य एक्ट्रेसेस का सवाल है, तो उनके खिलाफ जांच बंद नहीं हुई है. ईडी ने अभी तक उनको विटनेस नहीं बनाया है, तो जांच अभी जारी है. यदि एविडेंसेस मिलते हैं कि उनको भी ये पता था कि एक गिफ्ट जो उनको मिली है ये क्राइम से जनरेट किए हुए पैसे से मिली है, तो वो भी एक्यूज बनेंगे. लेकिन अभी क्योंकि इन्वेस्टिगेशन चल रहा है, तो अभी तक आप उनको विटनेस मान सकते हैं. जी.
Swapnil, I also want to understand the question that is on everyone's mind is that yes, there is questioning that is going on. The legal team of the actors, at least for Jacqueline, are saying that we want to cooperate, but because she's been named as an accused, how real is the possibility of her getting arrested?
Well, if the answers do not come as satisfactory, then the Enforcement Directorate always has the powers to have a custodial interrogation, and they have all the chances, rather all the powers under the BMLA to go ahead and arrest her. Whether they do it or not depends upon how she answers and how cooperative she is, and whether they buy what she has to say. So it entirely depends on what sort of answers she gives and to what extent she is able to convince that all these so many gifts were just, even if they're quid pro quo, I don't see a problem. If I'm a good actress and if I appear for shows, exhibitions, or anything of that sort, I can get my gifts. There's nothing wrong in that. Instead of taking a paycheck, I can take these gifts. That's not an issue. But so many gifts and all of those things, and especially when Mr. Chandrasekhar has himself admitted that there was some sort of a relationship between the two. So then, the Enforcement Directorate is definitely going to smell a fish, smell a rat rather there. And then, it all depends. They definitely have the powers. Now, whether they exercise that, I think they will exercise it only after, enough sort of interrogation and calling 3-4 other actresses and then trying to put all of them together, especially that Miss Pinky Virani and all of those things as to what sort of, who was this person, how much Jacqueline knew, how much she did not know. It all depends on, also the Enforcement Directorate, let me tell you for the benefit of your audience, they can use that whether a person could have reasonably known the source of this gentleman's income given the kind of gifts that she was getting. So whether I could have reasonably known that. So they can use that reasonably known part, the legal catchphrase which we use, that whether any person in her state who have received some 40-50 gifts could have reasonably known that there was something amiss. So the answer to that is yes. Obviously, I could have reasonably known that so many books are coming my way. So on that footing, then if they start, gathering up and mustering up evidence from 3-4 others, they're not just going to make an arrest just like that. They'll have enough evidence in their hand before they, put the clutches, put sort of the shackles around her hand.
Okay, but the larger question also at this point is Jacqueline and Nora just the tip of the iceberg? Is this the opening of a Pandora's box? Will we see many more? Unfortunately, completely out of time. Like to thank all our guests. We'll keep tracking these developments very, very closely. It's a wrap from my side. Plain Speak is up next.